Ask Raven, the wise one listens and answers. With psalm through shadows deep where strange things creep, the watcher remembers. Long yo listeners, tonight Raven recalls a hooded witch in an open door, and a spell so strong the room itself began to roar. Young men entered calm and still, then chanting winds began to bend. His will stay until the tale is through, for Raven asked what pulled him in and who pulled him free. The towers stood both cold and grey where weary souls and shadows stay. 3 buildings pierced the evening sky like silent tombs that watched nearby. The project, thus the people named those cement towers, dark and stained 10 stories higher, perhaps 15, where flickering lights grew faint and lean. One evening in those restless years before the sailors' later fears, a First Nations friend named Bernie led through narrow halls of concrete dread. The corridors were dim and long, the buzzing lights hummed faint and raw. Most apartment doors were tightly sealed, yet one stood open and revealed a room beyond the hallway gloom that pulled the sailor toward its doom. Now Raven knows a curious thing: some doors do not invite by chance, some thresholds call, some shadows sing, and some dark rooms induce a trance. The sailor should have walked away, most people would, yet on that day he crossed the threshold calmly, still as though compelled against his will. Inside the room a woman stayed beside a table, darkly laid. A hood or kerchief wrapped her hair. She sat unmoving in her chair. The room itself was dimly lit with heavy silence over it, yet when the sailor stepped inside, the hooded woman quickly cried, not words of greeting warm and kind, but chants that twisted through the mind. She rose with sudden frightening grace, while strange incantations filled the place, rapid phrases sharply cast like ancient winds blowing fast, and then the room began to change. The air itself grew wild and strange. The walls seemed almost pulled aside. A swirling force began to rise. The atmosphere became alive like unseen storms had now arrived. The sailor stood completely still while spinning currents bent his will, yet strangely fear did not appear. No dread, no panic, only fascination. Ah yes, Raven has observed before that danger often masks its door behind enchantment. Odd delight, the hook is baited first with light. The chanting grew, the energy climbed. The room itself seemed unconfined. The sailor watched with widening eyes while unseen power filled the skies, and part of him wished to remain. Even now Raven finds the detail most unsettling, for the bewitched early know the moment enchantment first begins. Then suddenly hand reached through the doorway fast and seized the sailor hard. At last Bernie, the friend, pulled with desperate force and dragged him from the room's dark course down the hallway. Bernie stared as though the sailor's mind were snared. Are you insane? The young man cried. Don't you know what happened inside? The sailor laughed in mild surprise, still carrying wonder in his eyes, but Bernie's fear was fully real. That woman cast a spell on you. The hallway lights buzzed cold and blue. Then Bernie shared what he believed. The witch intentionally left her door wide open. Curious souls entered, then slowly fell beneath her influence. She makes people do her bidding. Bernie warned you, almost stayed. Ah yes, Raven has long noticed that some traps require no chains, only invitation, and perhaps the most dangerous thing of all was that the sailor almost enjoyed it. Even now, after passing years, the memory still reappears. The swirling room, the chanting tone, the feeling not entirely his own. What might have happened had Bernie failed to pull him from that shadowed veil? Would the sailor's mind have slowly bent? Would his will have finally been spent? Or perhaps another force stood near, unseen within the atmosphere, for Raven wonders even still if Gua watch against that will. Perhaps the hand that pulled him free was guided by some mystery. Perhaps the sailor never knew how close the spell had come true. So Raven asks the listeners near, do witches truly cast such snares? Can spoken chants reshape the air? Can certain souls command unseen force? Can human will be bent off course? And what exactly waited there inside that dim apartment air? Throw Raven a line at ghostboatadventures@gmail.com, mail to ghostboatadventures@gmail.com, or leave your theories below. Tonight, for Raven watches, Raven hears, Raven remembers through the years what you forget. Raven remembers through fire and embers. Raven remembers nevermore, nevermore, nevermore.